welcome to the Investing in Real Estate Show. This is your host, Lex Levinrad, and on today's episode, I'm very excited to have a guest that I've wanted to have for quite some time on our show. And if you are watching on YouTube, make sure you go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If you're on the podcast, make sure you do the same thing so you can be notified when we have new episodes. So today we have Trevor Mauch. Did I pronounce that correctly, Trevor?
You got it, man. You got it. Most don't. You got it.
Okay. All right. So we've got Trevor Mauch, who is the founder and CEO of Carrot.com. And this is one of the fastest growing real estate, I should say the fastest growing real estate investor website platform for both buyer and seller websites. So Trevor, welcome to the show.
Lex, man, I appreciate the invite. And first of all, same thing. I've been wanting to connect with you for a while on, digitally for sure. And man, it's always so much fun hopping on and having these combos. So I'm just pumped to have a good conversation and share some value. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, cool. So just before we jump into, Carrot and what it is, can you just give a little bit of a background? You started out, I know you've got a background as in marketing and a chief marketing officer and you know a lot about content marketing and digital marketing, but how did that translate into real estate?
Yeah, man. So where the real estate part of it came from was going all the way back to college. So all the way back to college, I had a professor. He was a business law professor, and that should be like the most boring, the most boring class you have. But it was one of my best ones because he was a really engaging teacher. He was passionate. He had good charisma, and he was a real estate investor and an attorney. And so he would sit there and talk about business law with the angle of real estate oftentimes. And I'm like, I want to do what he's doing because it sounds really interesting. He sounds pretty passionate about it. And I kind of made a goal during college to buy my first rental property. And I didn't really have money at that time. Just a college student playing baseball. And so my dad, he'd always been an entrepreneur since I was probably 8 to 10 years old. And I remember we were watching the infomercials, Carlton Sheets came up, and there's always that nexus story of like what it's either like Kiyosaki's book or Carlton Sheets or whatever it is. But, Carlton Sheets infomercial came up and he had the $500 no money down course. And my dad just said, he goes, I'll buy that. I'll pay for that for you if you'll use it. And you have to buy a property within the next year or you got to give me $500.
Wow. I'm
like, okay. So that was kind of my start in real estate, man. I devoured the courses, basic level stuff, but then I went out and bought a 4-unit property there by the college with none of my own money. I still own that one today. And so that's how I kind of got into real estate.
Is that in Portland?
It's in Southern Oregon. It's in a town called Klamath Falls, which is where I grew up.
Gotcha.
Yep. But that was kind of my intro to real estate. And then right out of there, I moved up to Portland after college, trying to figure out the entrepreneur thing. And that's kind of where marketing came in. I'd picked up another rental property by that time using the same method, seller carry, and then get some small private money for the down payment.
Nice.
And my uncle, I was doing some consulting for my uncle, marketing consulting, because I had a degree in it, knew nothing about marketing. I came to find out. And he walked into the office one day and I was making $1,000 a month. Could barely pay my bills. And he said, can you pull up Google really quick? And all that I was doing for him was cold calling Craigslist postings just to try to get mortgages.
Of sellers?
The sellers is for sale by owners. Yep. Trying to help people with some of that stuff. And so I didn't like it, but I did it. And he walked in one day and he said, pull this up on the computer. And he said, type in like mortgage broker Portland or something like that. And I did. And then of course, Google results popped up and he goes, I'm nowhere to be found. He goes, how can I get there? Can you get me there? I'm like, yeah, I'll figure it out. And so that was honestly what started all this for me getting online, learning how Google works, learning how to create content online, attract people, create a high converting website, build a business. And I've been doing that ever since.
Now, did you already have a background in SEO and content marketing at that time or no?
Dude, nothing. Like not at all. All that I, and this would have been 2000. This was 2007. So I got out of college this is 2006 to 7. I got out of college in 2005, had kind of a gap year where I worked for my parents. And then I went up there. So the only thing I ever used the internet for up to that point, man, was like researching college papers. Like I wasn't buying anything online at that point, nothing. So that kind of started my journey.
Okay, so now, I'm looking at some of the awards and you've been featured fastest growing software company in Oregon, and Portland Business Journal 40 under 40, and Entrepreneur Magazine, and all these features. You got, thousands and thousands of users. So how did you go from there to where you are today, which is pretty much the #1 real estate investor platform for buyer and seller websites?
Dude, that's a good question, man. So I think the really high level, simple answer is, I think we all think it's going to be this like steady climb, Mm-hmm. And at least I did then. And I thought, man, once I figure this one thing out, I think everything will unlock, and then I'll be able to be successful. And what I found, Alex, was it wasn't one thing. It was always one thing at a time. And it's been about 8 different things. Like I could walk through the 8 things. But it was always like I needed to get over this one hurdle at that time. And once I got over that, it kind of opened up for a period of time. And
so kind of like the Gary Keller one thing concept.
Yeah. Except I wasn't doing it purposefully. It was kind of like, in hindsight, you look back and go, oh. So I'll give an example. When I was up in Portland making $1,000 a month, and I was trying to get I was trying to figure out how to become an entrepreneur. I gave myself a year, and I said, okay, I'm not going to get a job. I'm going to give myself a year. And the worst thing that happened is I just don't pay my rent. I get evicted and I have to go move back in with my parents, which there's a lot worse things than that.
Sure.
And I was married at that time, just got married. And so I racked up the credit card bills. I paid my taxes that year with my credit card, which I don't suggest you do. I didn't save money for it. I didn't know how to do business. And so the one thing was like, man, I'm pitching consulting contracts for marketing to people, and no one was taking it because I was new. I didn't really know what I was doing. And I said, well, let me just shift my mindset there. What if instead, I just read the book, The Go-Giver from Bob Burg. And I said, what if I just stop trying to sell stuff? What if I just go and add value to people? And I just go find people that I either know now and they're in my warm network, but they don't want to pay me for anything because they don't think I know anything, or I don't know them, but I find something on their website or whatever, just in the learnings that I had done that year, that I think if they fix this, that they'll get a better result there. And so I started reaching out to people and just sending them emails and saying, hey, I was checking out your website today and here's some of the things I've been doing. I noticed this, and I would take a screenshot or whatever. If you just adjust this, move this here, and do that, you'll get a way better result. And if you want to, just give me access to your thing and I'll hop in and do it for you. And no charge. I just want to help you out. And so I started doing that for people. And at first people go like, oh, does he have a catch? I'm like, there's no catch. I'm trying to learn. And if I help you get a result, awesome. You didn't pay me for anything. If there's no result, awesome. You didn't pay me for anything. Like, you can't lose.
And were these all just like WordPress based websites?
Yeah, it was. And I'm not I don't know how to build WordPress stuff, but it was mainly around content. It was mainly around tweak this thing in your website based off of what I've learned, and that'll get you ranked higher in Google, or tweak this other thing and it'll help you convert better. I was just diving in deep that year and learning about all that stuff. And so that was the first one thing I had to learn, is be a go-giver, is give first without asking for anything in return. And when you do that, number one, you learn, you give yourself opportunity to learn instead of going, oh, no one wants my contract, therefore, like, no, just do it for free. And then the funny thing is, eventually I got so good at it, those same people, they go like, well, shoot, I got to pay you something because I don't want to stop working with you. It's working so well. What can I pay you because it's working? And then those are my first contracts. But the fast forward, man, I think the small of it is this, is a lot of small iterations, but it all stacks up with learning how to create really good content online. And then I started to look at my servers and go, man, people are finding my website. I'm ranking high in Google off the stuff I was learning. And then I was like, man, I'm getting people here, but no one's converting. Like, they're not becoming leads. And so I research, conversion rate optimization, test. Okay, now I'm getting traffic and leads. That's cool. And then I go, cool, now I've got traffic and leads, but now I don't know how to make money with it. So I've got a list that isn't like it's there. And so then research, get mentors. And then I learned how to build businesses. And we could go into it a little bit, but I built businesses the wrong way first, made good money, but drove myself into the ground. Did not enjoy what I was doing at the end of the day, got burnt out, didn't want to wake up to do the work that I had created for myself in that first business. And that was the learnings that shifted over into how I've done Carrot differently.
And I've heard, because I listened to your podcast, Carrot Cast, right? Is that the name of it? Right, so I listen to that pretty routinely, actually. And I've actually heard you speak about, that concept of, a lot of business building concepts about how Even I saw your tagline, how to help real estate entrepreneurs get back their freedom and their purpose. And so I think a lot of investors, a lot of even not real estate investors, but just business owners can find themselves in that rut very easily if they don't build systems and things in place. And I think that's what's so awesome about your sites, because we used to use, custom sites, would spend a ton of money to build them. And then everything would be great for a while, but then something wouldn't be working. You needed a plug-in and you needed an update. And every time you have to go back to the developer. So when we transitioned over to using Carrot and we use that ourselves, what was so awesome about it is now it's all there for you. It's done. Yep. And it works, and you can just focus on doing what you do, which is generating leads. And I saw a pretty interesting stat. You've generated something like 1.2 million plus motivated seller leads through your platform online. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's actually way more than that now. I'm not sure. We probably haven't updated that number, but it's over 5 million now.
Wow.
Mostly sellers. Yeah, there's some buyers in there and stuff too, but yeah, mostly sellers.
So a lot of people that are listening to this are relatively new real estate investors. So can you just give a breakdown for like the layperson, what Carrot is, what it does, and how it can be, beneficial for them?
Dude, for sure. So at a really high level, the problem that we were trying to solve, Lex, was this was in 2011, 12 when the idea first came up. And in that time period, I'd gotten really good, like I said, at generating really, really high quality traffic online, using content to do so. And I'll explain that in a second. And then I got really good at building websites that convert visitors into leads at a much higher rate than average, and making all that work really well. And so I had a contractor, a buddy that walked in my office. It would have been 2012, I think it was. And I was kind of in between my old businesses and trying to figure out what I wanted to do next. And he walked in and said, man, he goes, can you pull up my website real quick? And I did. And it was just like it was a Haibu website or something like that. One of those kind of really cheap ones from
Sure.
a GoDaddy type thing. It looked pretty. It didn't look bad. And he said, man, I got the website, but it's not getting me results. It's not getting results. I got online and it looks pretty, but I didn't get results. And immediately I could see well, you got to change this. If you change that, it'll convert better, and bring this up here and make the button this size and do this and put this here. Like all these things I just know intuitively now from years of doing it. I told him exactly what to do. And if you do these things, you'll get a better chance to rank high on Google, which is where all of your best prospects are. They're all going to Google to search. And then if you get there and they have a high converting website, they'll convert and work with you. And he looked at me and was like, awesome. I don't know how to do any of that. Can you do all that for me? I'm like, man, I don't have the time. And at that time, I didn't have like a WordPress developer I was working with. And the light bulb kind of went off. I'm like, man, the previous decade, 2002 through 12 was pretty much about got to get online. That was it. Just get online, free, easy, simple, cheap. And everyone could check the box. Cool, I'm online. What happened, and we're in the depths of it right now, is everyone's online, but now it's like, how do you get performance? And so that's what popped up. It's like, darn, the next decade is all about how do you get results. And so to answer it in a short way is we took all that learning on how do you attract the highest quality prospects that convert the highest, that are the highest margin deals through the internet. How do you then convert more of them on your website to leads than usual? Which then gives you a lower cost per lead and a higher revenue per visitor. And then how do you build momentum with that rather than being reliant on what I call hamster wheel marketing,
Right.
which is traditionally your outbound, right? Outbound's great. We love it. But the problem with it is it has these ebbs and flows. When direct mail is working amazingly well, all of a sudden people see response rates go down in those pockets where everyone's getting 14 mailing pieces. So then you saw like cold calling come up and everyone's like, oh, cold calling is the most amazing thing, which it's great. Right. It's awesome. But then all the sellers on all those lists are getting 5, 6, 7 cold calls a week. And then all of a sudden everyone's like, no, SMS is the next thing. Like, oh, SMS. So like you see, it goes up and down like this based on the demand or based on the usage of that marketing method in that location. If there's a bunch of direct mail pieces, response go down. If there's a bunch of cold calls, responses go down. If sellers are getting tons of text message, responses go down. Not saying not to use them, but when people base their business off it, you got to be ready for an ebb and flow to always adopt the next thing and then pick up the other one when less people are using it. With the internet, man, it keeps getting better. It's like more and more people go online, more and more people are using their cell phones. And the cool thing about it is it's not interruption marketing. It's someone choosing to go online saying, I've got a problem. I'm going to do a Google search like I sell my house fast whatever, or selling an inherited house in Houston, or, selling without a real estate agent in blah. They find the top couple sites, they click on them. Yours is going to hopefully come up really good, load fast, have the right information, the right spots, be easy to use, and convert them into a lead. So that's what we focus on there, man. Help you get a really high performing website up, help you give you better SEO tools to attract the right clients who are going to convert better, and help you build momentum.
Right. All right. So for those of you that are listening, especially if you're relatively new, the concept of constantly chasing leads by having to put new pans in the fire, whether it's mailing out postcards or yellow letters, or whether it's doing ringless voicemails or SMSs or cold calling or any kind of outbound marketing, even door knocking, is cumbersome and involves a process. But if you can have something that generates leads for you, and the ultimate lead generator and the one that has the most pressing time need to it is going to be ones that are generated online. So the concept of something of a motivated seller site like this is that you're getting somebody when they're going to their computer. Let's say they're in foreclosure, they want to sell their house to, let's say, stop their foreclosure, and they say, you need to sell my house fast. Your goal is that when they do that they find you, and that they come to your website, and that your website converts by them putting their info in, and that becomes a lead for you to, buy that house. So can you talk a little bit about some search terms and some keywords that are popular? I know you have a download on your website with a whole bunch of pay-per-click keywords that I've read before, but can you cover some of those?
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, Lex, we've got some good free resources. You can link it up, below where you post it, for both SEO keywords and PPC keywords. And we'll give you the link, and you can link them up. You guys can just go check them out for free, but really, really high level. So if you're looking for highly motivated house sellers, the traditional ones that in pretty much every market are going to get good volume of searches are the general sell my house fast, cash home buyers. And what I want to do here is qualify, guys, is make sure that you're always having your location in it somewhere. Because most people search by locations. And even if like more and more people are going to Google and just typing up a phrase where it's not location based, like if I'm here in Roseburg, I'm going to probably type restaurants, and Google's going to serve me up Roseburg restaurants, even if I didn't put the word Roseburg in it, because they recognize where you're searching based on your location. So one of the ways that you can show Google what location you're talking about is by making sure to put that location-based content on your titles and in your stuff like that. Don't just put sell my house fast. It's never going to get found anywhere. It's got to be your location. So sell my house fast, insert location, cash home buyers, insert location. Even a we buy houses, I know a lot of people kind of are confused by that, and they're like, no seller's ever going to type that. And years ago, we published content on this, that we buy houses is still one of the top 3 phrases that pops up for PPC and even for SEO. Yeah. And why is that, right? It's because investors are so trained to use that language in their offline marketing that the offline marketing drives online demand. They see the bandit sign that just says we buy houses, and they're like, I didn't get the number, but I'm going to go online and type up and try to find these we buy houses people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you can even if you're not doing any of the bandit signs or any of the offline stuff or any of the direct mail, we have clients who don't do any of that, but they piggyback off of all of the demand that their competitors are creating from the offline, and they rank really high for those phrases. Right. Some other ones that are they're higher targeted. They're going to be a higher quality lead, but it's going to be way lower volume. Also less competition. Most people focus on the sell my house fast, we buy houses, cash home buyers. That's what most people focus on. I would go in there and I would focus on trying to get ranked well for those, create a page for those, and get ads going for them. But then I would also go into some more niche-based ones. So what are some situations that a seller is going through that they might be going to Google to search? And Lex, the way that I find this stuff is I literally go to Google and I just pull it up and I just start typing really slowly what I think someone who just inherited a house in Biloxi, Mississippi might type. And I might type how to sell house I inherited and just see if any suggestions pop up in there.
So if no using suggestions, the Google Auto Suggest tool.
Yeah, Google Auto Suggest. If no suggestions pop up, I'm like, okay, well, let me delete some stuff and go back and type something else that someone might type. And you'll start to find Google suggest you real phrases. And then once you find a good suggestion, like, yeah, that's pretty much what it is, hit it. And then scroll to the bottom of Google. And then there's a whole list of related searches. I grab that stuff. Like that's where I get my content topics usually. And then, cool, I'm going to do a piece of content on how to sell my house that I inherited in Biloxi, or tax savings tips when selling a house in Florida. Like we have clients that are ranking #1 in Google for that type of phrase right there, generating
Wow.
leads every month.
So let me just paraphrase what Trevor just mentioned, just to make sure you guys understand. So let's say you're building a motivated seller website, and you've decided to go on Google and think like a seller would and what they would type into Google. So you've typed in, let's say, sell my house fast in, let's say, Portland, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pay attention to what shows up in the Google search bar when after you type in the word sell my house. See what comes up in your search bar. Is it fast, or what other words? And then when you've done, like, let's say sell my house fast in Portland, take a look at the bottom at the related searches that Google basically comes up with, because that's telling you what people are searching for on Google. And that's very, very key, because you can then build your pay-per-click campaign around that specific keyword. So instead of just going after we buy houses or sell my house fast, you can go after something like, how do I get rid of my probate property in Portland? So it'll be, so that's the concept. And it's very, very important, because that's Trevor, that's pretty much how Google's searching information, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, they are. And kind of the next question that pops up is, well, shoot, how do I now get my site in front of, like, how do I get it high in Google, right? And there's a lot of factors. I'll kind of break them down as simple as I can. There's the first one, which is your on-page factors, right? Like the actual website. There's the way that the website's built, the code, how fast does it load? It's got to load fast. Like that's a key. That's one of the reasons Carrot sites rank so well, is they load faster than anything else.
Super fast, yeah.
And then there's like the actual words, right? What words are on the pages and how are the pages structured? So we structure them all right. But as far as when Google's looking at it, they go, cool, there's a gazillion websites that could rank for this, but we're going to try to find the ones that are the most relevant to this search topic and put them at the top. And for relevancy, there's a couple things that we try to do that are pretty simple to do for everybody. One of the first mistakes I see from people that are struggling with ranking well in Google, and I'll even say Carrot customers as an example. With the Carrot customer, the first mistake is they don't go through and modify their content, right? They're using the stock content on there it's going to convert great. You could drive PPC traffic to that today and it's going to convert. But if you want to rank well in Google, you got to go through and rewrite some of your content so it's more unique. Number two.
And make it custom for you and for your area, right?
Oh, yeah. Throw in updated photos, even videos on there. Get your logo, your testimonials.
Personalize it basically.
Exactly. The next thing is, if people are going, man, like I can't get this thing ranked, and let's say it's not a Carrot site, usually they don't have enough content on the page. And Google kind of at minimum wants to see between 500 and 800 words minimum on a page to really even give it credence that it's probably robust enough content to have it rank. And so there'll be people that will come to me and say, hey, why isn't this ranking? And there's 300 words on there. And you're trying to go after a competitive phrase. So the very next thing I would do is just get some more words on there. Get between the 500 and 800 words minimum. And here's another thing, Lex, that's really important on the on page is consistently put out content. Google wants to see websites that are fresh, that are updated, that are relevant, that seem like an authority in the space. And so that's where we started to do the automated articles, but also one of the most important ones when people use it is video posts. And I'll tell people how they can do it without video posts. Without our feature, you can do it without Carrot. It just takes a little longer. Is in order to get those 500 to 800 words on that article, that's how to sell my house fast, and that I inherited in Biloxi, or tax savings tips for selling my house in Florida or whatever, is I would take out my cell phone and I would record a 3 to 5 minute video. And the reason I say 3 to 5 minutes is because number one, it's short. Like I'm not talking 15 minutes. It's a lot less intimidating. But also number two, the average person speaks 120 to 160 words a minute. And so if Google's looking for 500 to 800 words on that page to be able to get you in front of your most highest qualified prospects that convert the most, a 3-minute video is about 500 words. An 8-minute video is about 1,000, plus or minus.
So you get transcripts of the video?
Yep. You could do one of two things. You could take that video and go to a service like rev.com, rev.com, submit it to them, pay $1.25 a minute, I think it is with them now. And then they're going to, several hours later, email you the transcript, open up the email, copy it, paste it, reformat it, go put it on your blog, copy, paste it, reformat it, put your video at the top, do all that. So that'll take you probably roughly 40 minutes or so to an hour per piece. we took that whole process and automated it all. So you literally just upload it to YouTube and then copy and paste your YouTube URL in the video post thing, and then it automates it all.
Okay, so now, so you're saying within the Carrot site, there's an automated process to do these video posts?
Yep. It's called video posts, and you literally go in there, and currently you copy and paste the YouTube URL in there, and then you click a button, and then we charge you the per minute transcription fees, and then we do everything else. So our system then, gets the transcription. We build a full blog post for you. We put the video at the top. We bring the title in from YouTube. We put the full transcription below the video. It says video transcription, which is
that's
important.
pretty awesome.
And then we send you an email saying your blog post is ready.
And I think what's really neat about that is that there's probably a ton of users that are not doing that. And I think that allows you to, first of all, put content out there and have those words on there, but also allows you to differentiate and personalize and make your site different. So tell me a little bit about the whole concept of how you built Carrot as a software as a service business, and what the mission statement of Carrot is. Like you have, in a very short period of time, when I say short period of time, probably, I don't know, what is it, like maybe 5 or 6 years or so, pretty much completely dominated the real estate investor website space completely. And I know for example, in my mastermind in Collective Genius, just about everybody uses a Carrot site. And so what would you say to somebody that is a new investor who's, started out, they're putting some battered signs out, but they haven't made the commitment to spend the money to get a website yet? What would you say to them that they're missing out on by not doing that?
Yeah, there's a couple things, man. So like I was saying before, first of all offline marketing creates online demand. And I think if you picture this, so let's say you're putting bandit signs out, and let's say the average profit per deal in that market is whatever, I'm gonna say 10K just for nice round numbers. Okay. And so what's going to happen is someone's going to see the bandit sign. And number one, what can happen, like I said before, is they might see the words on there, and then they might Google the words, we buy houses, blah. And so that right there is already driving people online, and they're going to do a Google search for your area. And that's where a lot of our clients are just capturing that traffic anyway. So you can do that. Like, you can come in there and get that. Now, number two that's more direct is this, is I think we can all relate whenever we get a phone call or a text from someone random or whatever it is. We'll oftentimes Google the phone number, like I do. If I got a phone call from someone, I'm like, who the heck was this? What do they keep calling me for? And then I'll go Google the phone number. Now, the problem is most investors are, or they might Google the phone number on the bandit site, right? So the problem is what most of us do is we're using like a Google
call
voice
tracking.
number,
Yeah, like call
or a tracking number, right? Which is great. So you can tell where it's coming from. But here's what's not great. I want you guys to all do this right now. And I'd never heard anyone else in the real estate industry saying this until I started saying this like 4 years ago. Now some other people are saying it, because I've been saying for years, like, we're in the age of credibility. Everyone wants to research things out. Everyone wants to vet and verify the people that they're working with, especially in some of the biggest financial decisions they ever make in their life, selling or buying their home. And so I want you guys to take all of your tracking phone numbers, or whatever Google, I want you to go Google that. Like, Google every phone number on there. Even if you have 14 numbers, Google them all. What you're going to find is if it's like a call rail phone number or something like that, you're going to see that it's like scam call website 1, who's calling me.com is 2, like whatever it is. Now, you're not a scam, but that's what pops up when those phone numbers are not attached to a business. It's all those things. Now, what picture is that seller going to paint in their mind? Even if you're not a scam, all that's going to pop up there is who called me, scam call sites, da-da-da-da-da. It's going to plant a seeded out in their mind. And if your average profit deal is 10K, how many leads and deals are you currently losing right now because you're not dominating your own brand search? So here's what you guys do. If you're not going to do any online marketing at all, and you're only going to do offline marketing, you're cold calling, text messaging, bandit signs, knocking on doors, whatever it is, and you want to ensure that you're not losing any $10,000 profit deals this year, go get that website, the Carrot site that's going to be way cheaper than 10 grand. Like, the lowest one's $500 or $600 a year. Okay. And then go set it up, get a good picture about yourself on the about page, get a good bio set up on the about page.
By the way, if you guys want to check it out, just go to lexlevenrad.com/Carrot, and I got a link there for you guys to, see how it works.
Dude, perfect. Go right there, y'all. And then make sure on the about page, it's really talking about who you are, why you got into this business. Even if you don't have any experience at all, put in why you got into it so people can connect with you. Number two, start to put testimonials in there once you start to close deals, or if you don't have any deals yet, you still need credibility up there. So I say to put in what's called character-based testimonials. Go to your former boss or your banker that you've been working with forever, or the insurance agent, and just say, hey, Sally, I know we've been working together for 10 years. I'm getting into this real estate thing I'm really excited about. Would you mind writing something down, just how it's been like to work with me for the past year, just more about my character? And they'd probably be happy to put it on there. Then you've got, Sally, whatever, mortgage broker, number one mortgage broker in the area. Like there's some credibility there. So you start to close deals, swap them out with people. So the reason I'm saying this is all of your offline marketing creates online demand. And so look at every phone number, put those phone numbers on your contact page at the bottom somewhere. Let's say you have 14 tracking numbers, put them all down there at the bottom. And just say, hey, you may have found us through one of these phone numbers. Awesome. That's so we can track what marketing is working well for us. Continue to browse our website. We'd love to work with you, make you a cash offer. So now in 3, 4, 5, 6 months, now when you Google all those numbers, what's going to show up number one in Google? Your website, with your credibility, and you're going to close all of your leads at a higher rate.
So you're taking, let's say you got 10 different numbers for your marketing to motivated sellers. Let's say one number's your postcards, one's your yellow letter, one's a bandit sign. You're taking all those call rail tracking numbers and you're basically putting them at the bottom of your website, and you're saying you may have found us through one of these numbers. And so the purpose is essentially so that when someone Google searches that phone number, they find your website instead of one of these like spam.
Exactly. And the really high level strategy here, Lex, is essentially, I talk about controlling your brand search. Anything related to your company, your name, your phone numbers, anything that's identifiable, people are searching it out. And I want to kind of run this by people right now and just kind of get like figurative head nods wherever you're listening to this, y'all. Is the way that I look at it is this, is number one, there's a concept I call phantom expenses. Is we're all losing money in our businesses that we just don't even know we're losing. Like we have no clue we're losing it until we implement something that makes it work better. And we go, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I was losing, 14 leads a month because I didn't have this credibility here. Or, oh my gosh, I'm losing 5 deals a year probably. And so a good example is this. Carter Steff, the top home buyer in Oklahoma. And I think he's in CG actually. 1-800-2-SELL-HOMES. He had the same thing, amazing, custom, pretty website, got leads. It did get leads. So it tricks you into thinking, cool, my pretty website's working. It's getting leads. What he did was he ended up moving everything over, going through our concierge program, really getting it dialed in for his brand. And there's a big old an email he sent me, and he essentially said, hey, we're not doing any online marketing right now. Like we're not ranking really well for Google other than our own company name and stuff. But he said immediately we saw a lift of over 50%. More leads now are coming through just from our radio, TV advertising, because now they're coming to a website that is converting well when the other one didn't. Number two, this is the part that a lot of people don't predict by having a website, Lex, is number two, your website helps to increase your lead to close ratio if it's set up right. So it not only if it's set up right increases your visitor to lead ratio, but now it's increasing your lead to close ratio. Here's how. So with Carter, his previous site was pretty. It was hard to navigate. It didn't have the right testimonials in the right spots. Didn't have the right lead forms in the right spots. About page was kind of thin. It didn't have a lot of good stuff. They didn't have any video content on there. And then we structured it in the exact way that a seller thinks about making a decision. The content was in that same order, the links, everything. And so by restructuring your site so it converts better, it's more usable for that seller based off of data, which is what we do. You make it easier for them to find the right information. You make it easier for them to research you and get comfortable with you and go, well, cool. The first thing they ask when they land on your website is, number one, I've got a problem. Does it look like they have a service that can solve it? So your homepage has to address that immediately. Yes, we buy houses. Here's the way that we do it. Here's some good testimonials. Number two that pops up is, that sounds good, but like, how's the process work? So that's the very next thing, like, bam, next link over is how it works. Get a good video. Da, da, da. After that, it's like, okay, so what's the difference between this and work with an agent then? So then you got another page and more content, like compare agent versus that. Then the last thing that pops up is, this kind of all sounds good, but who are they? Like, are they legit? Do I want to work with them? Good about page is always the number 3 most visited website in all carrot sites. Doesn't matter what type is the about page. People are looking for credibility. And then testimonials. So by guiding them through, he essentially added $20,000 a month in new revenue with no extra traffic. He had a $200,000 a year phantom expense he didn't even know existed by making his website work better.
Right. Well, the biggest mistake I think for newer investors is that basically they don't want to spend the money.
Yep.
And I've seen this, and this is across board. In other words, they don't want to spend the money in direct mail. They don't want to spend it on cold calling. They just don't want to spend it, period. But
Yep.
what I always try and explain to people is I always say to them, like, look, let's say, in our market, our average wholesale deal is probably around 15,000, and our average fix and flip could be 25 to 40. We've had some that are 70 or 80. So
Yep.
I always like to say, your basic platform of a carrot site is like $500-600 a year, right? So basically, if you go one lead that entire year, if one person just came and typed in, I need to sell my house, and found your site and filled out that lead form, and that lead came to you, and you picked up the phone and you landed up buying that house and flipping it to an investor like me, or fixing and flipping it yourself or whatever, think of you not having that site or not having that ability, and then think of this being on autopilot, 365, 24/7, and then you really begin to understand the concept. And tell me a little bit about. I was just looking at your website with your name, and I saw something about this small town hustle. What can you tell me a little bit about it? What's that about? Is that a movie, or what is that exactly?
No, for sure, man. So yeah, everyone, you guys can check it out. It's free. There's no opt-in or anything. Like, we're posting them all up there. It's just trevormauch.com, TREVORMAUCH.com. So let's reconnect into the story I was telling before, how Carrot started, right? So when I was looking at my previous companies, one of the things that was missing was purpose and passion. Like, I got really good at what I was doing, but in my core, I'm like, man, why am I doing this? And even if you're making good money, eventually you don't want to do that work anymore because it's empty. And I didn't believe it. I know when I was hearing people say the same thing before I was able to kind of figure out how to make money.
Never believe, but that's the thing. You never believe it.
No, you're like, no, I want to experience it myself. Right. And you're like, no, I'll be able to skirt around that. Like, I'm smart enough to figure that out. No, I wasn't. So I got, a few years into that business, I launched an online marketing company, publishing company and stuff in 2008. And I ended up exiting that company. Not a fancy exit. Like, I literally sold my shares for way less than they're worth just to get focus. And I sat down and wrote non-negotiables. I suggest everybody do this. I sat down and looked at everything that I'd done in business and life up to that point. And I said, what do I not like about my businesses? I didn't like that it was inconsistent and unpredictable. I didn't like that I wasn't building an asset. I didn't like that I wasn't having a lot of fun. I didn't like that I was doing a lot of work that didn't give me energy. And there was another one in there. So I looked at that and I said, oftentimes to find what you want, you need to identify what you don't want, and then just what's the opposite of that. And so then I wrote my non-negotiables. I want to build a business that's consistent and predictable. So I can plan out ahead. I can take month-long vacations if I wanted to. I can know within a 10% variance what my income is going to be like in 6 months before I couldn't plan what it's going to be next month.
Sure.
And that's stressful. And then there's the other one. So going up to the small town hustle, when I started Carrot, I'm like, you know what? Even though we're a software company, we can still do things that are fun. We can still do things where what if this business fueled my passion rather than was my passion? I'm not passionate about leads. I'm not passionate about real estate. I'm not passionate about software. They're great tools, right? But I'm like, if I get really good at this craft and I'm competitive and I want to be good at it, if I get really good at it, maybe I can attract a lot of people, an audience. And then once I attract them with what they think they want, which is leads, I then serve them up what they actually need, which is shifting their mindset around how they actually run business.
Right.
That's what Small Town Hustle was. For about 6 months, me and a couple buddies here in my building, I've got an entrepreneur co-work space here. They're both 7-figure entrepreneurs, completely different businesses. And we said it would be kind of cool to follow us for 6 months. Like, we're all mentors to each other. We're all at different phases of business. Seth, a friend of mine, he has the office right back here. He's sold 2 companies. His last company did $60 million a year, and he sold that one 3 years ago, I think, tech company. He sold his first company when he was 29 for $18 million and lost all of it,
Wow.
Lost every penny of it. And then Cody, my buddy over here, he was about ready to go bankrupt. And then we showed up in a mastermind. He were a monthly mastermind here in the building. He's ready to go bankrupt. And like, they're the last $300 in the bank account. They'd shot all this footage of a big hunt that they did. They're hunters. They're bow hunters. And they were going to put it online. And I'm like, what if you guys did this with it to make it so it's a business? And they launched a 7-figure business that day.
Wow.
And so it kind of documents our three journeys and hopefully inspires people, hopefully gives people some positivity. And yeah, that's the only aim. We don't make any money from it. It's just part of our business.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just see like the success of Carrot in general and your success and being like in the Inc. 5000 and in all these different awards and stuff. You obviously transitioned very well from being a, kind of like the E-Myth concept of the person who operated a business to building a business that's got that predictability, and you're probably having way more fun doing it. But what tricks could you give to somebody who's just like a one-man show real estate investor who's trying to figure out how to build a business? What would you tell them? What advice would you give them?
Yep. The one piece of advice is exactly what I did. So when I was in my previous companies, I never had employees. And here's the deal. The mindset that I had was, how can I keep as much of the money as possible that's coming through the door and the least expenses as possible. So I was making, as a 20-something-year-old kid, $140, $150 a year, but I was doing all the work, right? I didn't have any employees to delegate to. I couldn't take a couple weeks of vacation without checking my, I guess at that time probably didn't have like internet phones, but without checking the stuff all the time.
Right.
And so what I did was I created a process called the energy audit, Lex, and people can grab this for free. There's no opt-in even. I can either give you the link or I can tell them the link, but it's...
Yeah, go ahead. Mention the link.
Yeah, it's just carrot.com/energy. There's no opt-in or anything. I just want people to use it. And so after my previous businesses and I had created that energy, and I had my, my 5 non-negotiables, I started to build Carrot. And what happened was I started to bring some of those bad habits in from my previous companies, doing work that dragged my energy out. And here's what I would tell a solo entrepreneur to do, is go get the energy audit. It's 15 minutes per quarter is all it is, 15 minutes a quarter. And what you need to do is shift your mindset from where you're currently trying to hold everything for yourself, or where you're currently doing things that make you money but might be draining your energy. And you're like, well, I can't stop doing these because they make me money. The stuff that gives me energy is this stuff over here, and I can't figure out how to make money doing that. That's where I was.
Right.
But you do the energy audit and you essentially go through it and go, over here is all the stuff that drained my energy in business and life. Right. Over here is all the stuff that gives me energy, even if I'm not doing it right now. Like, that gives me energy and I'm not really doing it. I wish I could. And then on the energy draining side, circle 1 to 2 of the items that are draining your energy the most, and then write down how many hours per week you're spending on that activity. And chase energy is what you need to start to do. Now, here's where you start to delegate and shift the mindset. Let's say the first one is, whatever, and it takes you 7 hours a week. And then the next one is 5 hours a week. And you're good at them. They make you money. If you stop doing those things, your income's going to go down. But you're like, if I continue to build my business off that, I'm going to be miserable. So that's 5 hours plus 7 hours. So whatever, that's 12 hours total per week. You go over here to the energy give side and go, okay, if I could get an extra 12 hours a week, what would I do instead? Even if it doesn't make you money. Like, that's the thing. You got to give yourself permission, even if you can't figure out how to make money from it. Okay. Circle that one. Okay. Go. Awesome. Back over to energy drains. And now I want to go, that's the very first thing this quarter I'm going to pull back and figure out how to systemize, process, or plug someone else into that. And I did that every quarter for 3 years. And what happened was, eventually you take your energy ratio from, at that time, I was like 20% energy giving to 80% energy draining. I took it over 3 years to 80% energy giving, 20% energy draining. It's more fun. You actually build a bigger business because you're focusing on your unique abilities at that point, stuff that gives you energy and you're great at. And you buy yourself time to figure out how to make this stuff you love, how to make it make money. And I'll give you the example. It's 2016. I was writing all of our articles. I would write big, long form articles. That's what I do. The same thing, guys, to build my business is what we teach our clients to do. Same thing. There's nothing different. And I was writing these articles to attract people through Google and build authority. And we were getting ready to go down to my parents' house. So I live in Roseburg, Oregon. My parents live in Klamath Falls, Oregon, about 3 hours away. Been on this stretch of road a million times. And for the last year, I'd been kind of on these benders all the time. Once or twice a week, I'd be up until 2, 3 in the morning writing content. I was working 60, 70, 80 hours a week and trying to keep the money for myself, but then also put it into people in the wrong spots. I came to find out. And so I was doing content, and one night I was up until 3 in the morning again, writing a long piece of content. And I was kind of justifying it this way, because a lot of people talk about hustling and grinding, Lex, and they glorify it. And I was at that time too. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to hustle and grind. I'm going to put in the time. as long as it's not hurting my family, I'm good. And I can withstand it. I can stay the late nights. I can get the little sleep. I will be fine, and I'll still be there for my family. So we get in the car after one of those nights, and we're driving up into the mountains, big curves, and there's the ravine and the guardrail. And 1 second I was awake, 3 kids in the back, and my wife here. Next second I wasn't. I fell asleep.
Oh, wow.
And just like in the movies, it's like you go, there's no way it could have been that perfect. There's no way that he would have swerved just in time to like scrape the guardrail and not go over the edge. And that's what happened. I woke up, swerved just in time. That scrape is still on our bumper, my wife's car. And this is 2016. And I got out, just like cold turkey, got out, switched, didn't say a word, didn't drive on family trips for the next 6 months. And I was thinking about it. I'm like, man, this business, the way I'm growing this thing, trying to put it all on my shoulders, is going to kill me or my family. And so then cold turkey, I didn't work nights or weekends for 2 years. So that's the first thing. I know that's like very counterintuitive. You got to hustle, guys. I would try to restrict your time.
Yeah, well, I do the same thing because I felt like, very similar to you. I was, building the business up and in 2008 and for I think till mid 2010. And then I was working nights and weekends all the time, all the time, just working 16, 18-hour days. And then I decided, I got into boating actually. And I just said, you know what? I have got to make a commitment to just get out on the boat and not work and just have some fun and be with my family, because what's the point of it if you're just working and working and working, so it's very, so that was your wake up moment, that almost accident.
It was, man. And like I said, I was looking at everything wrong. I was looking at how can I just use more of my time and more of my energy to put into this business. And from then on, I'm like, energy audit. That's where the energy audit came. And I wrote it down. And one of the things that's draining my energy most is writing those long articles. So I'm like, how can I stop that? That's where our money comes from. That's what I'm really good at. People say you're amazing at it, but it drains my energy. And I'm like, I love podcasts and I love talking entrepreneurship stuff, but I don't have a podcast. I don't know how I'm going to make money doing that. And so I pulled back, Lex, and said, okay, I've got some money coming in. What if I just found a really good blog article writer who's just better than me, paid him really, really well. And then I just paid them a bunch of money over here for that, for a blog post a week. And they were really good. And then I just take that time and I start a podcast. And that's how the Carrot Cast started. Now we make a lot of money from it. And before, I never would have found ever a way to do that. And it gives me energy. And so guys, do the energy audit every single quarter. Ruthlessly eliminate the things that drain your energy the most. Create processes and systems or plug people in to do that. It will then unlock to where when you're putting your time towards things that give you energy and you're really good at, you're going to find that you're actually going to make a lot more money over the long term. Short term, it's a pain. Long term is better. Because
we tend to do the things that we like doing, and we also tend to be good at the things that we like doing, and we tend to be very bad. So as an example, you have different personality types. So like, let's say somebody who's really good at sales, like me as an example, will probably be pretty bad at admin stuff and paperwork. So what you've got to do is find somebody who's really, really good at that, and who actually, there's people who actually love doing that stuff, and then just delegate that out and free up your time to do the things that, the things that make you happy, the things that make you smile, the things that make you feel like you're not working every day and that you love what you do. And so that's really key. And I think you've definitely found that, Trevor. So that's pretty awesome. So any last words you'd like to share with our listeners?
Man, I think the only thing is following some of what we talked about here. Be really intentional what you want to build, especially if you're a newer investor. But if you're several years in, I know a lot of people that chase the money and they made good money and they got 2-3 years in and then like, I'm miserable. And so I think just do the energy audit, go through and write down your non-negotiables, post those non-negotiables on the wall, and always look at it and go, is my business building towards that right now, or is it not? If it's not, then you start to change what you're doing. Because I want you guys to build businesses that give you freedom, give you flexibility. Helps you grow the finances, of course, but I want you to build businesses that help you make a greater impact, because that's where you're going to find sustainable long-term energy versus making some bucks in the next 2 years and being miserable and trying to find something different next.
Right. And don't forget, I mean, most of you listening to this right now, either investing in real estate or want to invest in real estate. And the thing that attracted you to real estate is you wanted to build a life of financial freedom. You wanted to build a better life. So basically make sure that you put the things and systems in place to make that happen. All right. Well, Trevor, I want to thank you very much for being with us today. For those of you that want to check out Carrot, go to lexlevinrad.com/Carrot. And thank you once again, Trevor. We really enjoyed this. And thanks for taking the time to be on our show.
Lex, appreciate it, man. And guys and gals, keep following Lex. He's a real deal. Amazing stuff. So follow him, and you guys are crushing it. Just follow him, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you, Lex.
All right. Thanks. Thanks a lot.